Hey everyone, this is Brian at Riviera Auto again. Just got another project I finished, and there's a lot of limited information out there about it, and I kind of wanted to go over what I did to complete this project. Aside from what I do working on cars on a day-to-day basis, I have my hobby, which is I have gotten into racing legend cars. Well, one of the projects I took on is doing a big boy kit on a Sedan legend car chassis. So what is a big boy kit? Basically what a big boy kit is we're taking this ladder rack where your seat mounts to it, and we're cutting it off here and moving it back about 2.5 inches roughly. This is to achieve better leg room, to give us more room in the car when driving it. Some of you may know that these cars are really, really tight and really small and confined. So an idea of what's gonna have to be done here is, you're gonna get this in a kit with basically this ladder rack here. These are gonna be detached. They have to be welded on. And you're gonna have to get this bar here, this top bar here, and these bars here cut to size in order to lay this back and make it so that it is safe and rigid, so that this, in the event of a rollover or something of that nature, that the car holds up and is safe. The pinion angle is also supported by this ladder rack here. So there's a bit of handling involved in it, like an aspect for handling as well too. So to start out, what I did was I located these bars about 4 1/8 inches from the inside of the rack there to the center of the bolt hole. And I marked them off and welded them on. Then you have this bar. You're gonna have to cut the size. You're gonna have to notch it and cope it in. Same with this bar. This bar is basically to help mount the tin kit that you're gonna have to get when you do this modification. And then the location of this bar goes above the mounting bracket, or the mounting lollipop for the pinion angle, and it goes above the crossbar here, and it ties into this angle there. These come pre-cut and angled so that when it lays back, you want these to be flat on the bar before you weld it in on this bar. As long as it's flat, it matches that angle. That's how much that seat back is gonna lay back. You're gonna have to notch these bars so that it wraps around this bar before you weld it as well. What I did to kind of square it and make sure it's the same on both sides is I measured from this bar, your B pillar, to that bar, and I did it about 13 inches on both sides so that it's the same on both sides. And then the last and final part is these bars are gonna mount in front of where it ties here. This is exactly where it tied in before. There's no change there. The only change is this bar is gonna be more vertical as opposed to at an angle, which is where it was before. And you can kind of see that on this car. This is my older car. I'm gonna have to do this kit on too. You see the difference. Now they're not at as much of an angle anymore. One other thing I should mention is that the centering of this ladder rack, you're going to want to make sure that it is, put in the correct spot. So I did 10 inches off of that bar, and that's where I welded that in. And I had another chassis that I measured this off of. So that's how I know, that's where I got that measurement from, is from that other chassis that also has a big boy kit on it. Some tools you're going to need to complete this task, in addition to a good MIG welder, is going to be a hammer. You're going to need that to kind of move that ladder rack into place when you get it cut to size, and as well as a couple little bars. You don't want to wail on it. You shouldn't have to do that because you don't want to stress the chassis when you do it. You just kind of want to tap it into place. You're going to need a good grinder. I like to use a flap disc. This makes cleaning up the old welds before you start positioning everything in really nice. You're going to need a cutoff wheel. And in order to cut the tubing and everything, this was a lifesaver. This was a great tool to cut all of those bars and everything at various different angles. It's worth every penny when you do this job. This is a Milwaukee Fuel bandsaw, cordless bandsaw. And of course you're going to need a tape measure and a marking pen. Otherwise, this project is a lot more intimidating than it actually is when you start getting into it. I would just stress that if you don't really know how to weld, or you're a rookie welder or somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience doing this sort of thing, I would definitely pay a professional to have this done, because your safety does sort of rely on this job being done properly. You need to have good strong welds because, for one, your seatbelt harness mounts to it, and two, you have a couple bars that support the chassis, these ones here, that it's going to keep that chassis from caving in on you if you go upside down. That's just the way these cars are designed. But if you don't know how to weld properly or make a really good strong joint, then you're doing yourself a lot more harm than good. Obviously, this is a do at your own risk sort of modification. I would just really make sure that you do things right and have fun.